It's the Todd Reirden edition here on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now, the National Hockey Now YouTube channel. I am Dan Kingerski. Didn't make it outside for this one. The rain is coming in like half an hour. I knew I wouldn't finish up in time, so I didn't head down and use PPG Paint's arena as the backdrop. You'll have to settle for my little mantle behind me. The Penguins fire associate head coach Todd Reirden on Friday. The news dropping almost exactly at noon. Plenty of reports, and there was plenty of smoke. Something was happening this week. Remember Monday? There was just an odd feeling about everything. I think I even hinted in the Daily. Now listen, I didn't know exactly what was coming. A couple of us, I think, were on the periphery of knowing something, but not knowing enough to report, and that's where I fell. I'm not going to tell you I had any great scoops. Frank Saravalli, I thought, had maybe the most accurate scoop on Wednesday when he said there was friction between Dubas and Sullivan over coaching changes. Now, I don't know that that's true, and I'm going to let Frank's report stand on its own, but this was certainly a time coming. I wrote on Pittsburgh Hockey Now on Tuesday. Or, no, I guess it was Wednesday. In fact, sorry, the days all blur together. This is when I wrote that it was time to relieve Reirden of his duties. It wasn't malicious, and this is the ugly part of my job, and I actually have to write about people getting fired or opine that they should be. Here are the big details that really were a mark against Reirden. One, obviously, the power play. 14th last year. Not very good, quite frankly. There was a spell in the middle of last year when the Penguins' power play was really good. At the beginning third and the end third, it stunk. So they finished like 14th. This year, 30th. 15.3%. That's brutal. Now, that's not all on Todd Reirden. No, make no mistake. The head coach, if he didn't step in, certainly needed to. And the head coach showed no ability to affect change with that lifeless, limp noodle of a power play. That's one. Actually, that's probably two strikes there against Reirden. The power play was that bad. Two, and this is probably where I really made my decision to write what I wrote and be able to stand behind it with conviction. The Penguins' defense should have been a strength of the team. Instead, it was probably their biggest weakness. At no point did Ryan Graves integrate. The roller coaster of P.O. Joseph. Now, you know that I'm a P.O. guy. I think he's got real talent and potential to be, a defenseman in the NHL for quite a long time. He might not be the 40 or 50 point scorer that I thought he could be, but still a 25, 30 point guy who can skate like he does, learn to defend positionally, and all of that. I think he belongs in the league. His roller coaster season, in and out of the lineup, the lack of progression from anybody else. John Ludwig. I suppose Ryan Shea took a little step forward towards the end, but it's tough to give the associate head coach that when he took his step forward down in Wilkes-Barre. You had Erik Karlsson, him struggling to fit for, I would say, probably 2/3 of the year. And I don't know that the Penguins still got the absolute best out of Karlsson. Now, some of you are going to say, that's Sullivan. In part, you're right. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but the guy in between that mix is vitally important. Remember all of the accolades and praise for Sergei Gonchar and his ability to work with defensemen. Following Sergei's dismissal in 2020 was, in fact, Todd Reirden. Remember how good he was with defensemen and how highly Chris Letang spoke of him and the work that Reirden did with Letang. We didn't have that sort of example here over the last couple of years, in fact. So those are the two things directly in his charge, and they didn't work. So it was time to go. Now, here's the interesting thing. This hasn't quieted any of the speculation around Mike Sullivan. Not even a little bit. If anything, it's intensified it because of that report that there were friction between he and Dubas. I thought Dave Molinari very astutely pointed out on Thursday, Pittsburgh Hockey Now, there was no power struggle between Sullivan and Dubas because Dubas had all the power that he wished to exert. Sullivan can argue all he wants. At the end of the day, it's Dubas's decision. Sullivan can either get behind it after arguing, or he can leave. Those were, his two choices. Memory serves that there was a little bit of bitter taste after Jacques Martin was fired in 2020. I don't think Sullivan was entirely happy then either, when Jim Rutherford kind of pulled that rug. It was necessary then. It was necessary now. I'm not about to begin the speculation about Mike Sullivan. Coming up in the Penguins Q&A, which I had scheduled for Friday right before the Todd Reirden news broke, I was asked, okay, associate head coach, and there won't be another associate head coach. Obviously, there's going to be tons of David Quinn speculation and rumors. Given what happened in San Jose, I don't think that's the right move. I wonder if DJ Smith, coming from Ottawa, renowned for working with young players, it wasn't working so well up in Ottawa, but he has that ability to work with young players, and I wonder if he might be a candidate. I'll admit to you freely, here on Friday afternoon, that I don't necessarily know the breadth of candidates that would be available for that position, but I do know the one thing I would absolutely be looking for. It's kind of the same thing the Steelers went through when they hired Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator. You have to kind of decide what sort of strategy, what sort of scheme you're going to play into. In this case, on the power play. I think any assistant coach coming in, unless they're going to flip, unless they're going to give Vellucci the power play, I suppose I could see some sort of situation where that occurred, where they find somebody who's really good with the penalty kill and they hire them and flip Vellucci. But, Vellucci's been good on his side of the bench. I would want to know that coach's power play philosophy. I'd want to see drawings. I want to see schematics and charts and diagrams. I want to see a playbook. And I want to know if he's got the temperament to both work with the Penguins star players. Actually, I keep saying he. Maybe that's a little presumptuous, isn't it? I want to know that the coach has the temperament to deal with Erik Karlsson and Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby, and the star player, Chris Letang. And also the temperament to put his foot down, or her foot down, to get the results, to get the scheme, to get everything moving forward. Perhaps if John Cooper bolts Tampa Bay, see what I did there, that Cooper's assistant coach might pop available. I love Tampa Bay's power play. It was very structurally similar to the Penguins, but you saw they just kept marching. There was very specific and linear directives. When they do this, you take that and keep taking and taking and keep collapsing. And there was a clear and coordinated strategy. And it's not like Tampa Bay had better players on their power play. So there's that video. We'll do the Penguins Q&A also on Friday afternoon. I might be wearing the same thing. I apologize. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's one of down here somewhere. All right, for the Pittsburgh Hockey Now YouTube channel, I'm Dan Kingerski.